Chapter 5504. At this moment, some practitioners who received the news and did not have time to watch, discovered that the token actually started to flicker. Each time is the transmission of a message. Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang, broke through the 12th floor. Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang, broke through the 13th floor. Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang, broke through the 20th floor. God, is this human work? Someone kept exclaiming, and then stared directly at the list on the hall. Breakthrough. The number 1 is already Jian Wushuang. This is a total list. Almost all Taoists in the front ranks, because Taoists are the easiest to break through. Now Jian Wushuang has directly surpassed the number 1. Number 1. Break through the 10th floor in one breath. And it's still changing. 12, 16, and 20 floors. Nowadays, not only the strong people in the North Watchtower are exclaimed, but some strong people who are breaking through the barrier have also come out one after another to see what happened. It's Jian Wushuang, the inheritor Jian Wushuang, who was looted before reaching the Tomb Mountain. Many people recognized Jian Wushuang's identity. Dao Sengtian, who had returned from Funyang Island, stood in the hall at this time with a knotted brow. Dao Jun. Tearing Tian's face sank. Then he snorted coldly, and said inwardly, Dao Jun, after all, I'm just a Taoist. If you don't agree with the Dao, I will be able to crush you. The strength of Tearing Sky now ranks among the best among the Fifth-order emperors. Although he did not make a breakthrough, he was able to reach the pinnacle. This time, it was even more rushed to the 49th floor, and there was still a lot of confidence. At this moment, he still had confidence in his heart. Even if Jian Wushuang went against the sky again and broke through the 20th floor, that is the strength of the 30th floor, comparable to the 4th-order emperor. There is still a big gap with him. Moreover, Jian Wushuang was still very poor, but he saw with his own eyes that Jian Wushuang could not even take out the 100 million cubes of divine stone, and finally did not enter the valley. Wanyan was the only calm person in the hall at this time, and he was not surprised at all. Back in the blood mist of Maureen Mountain, Jian Wushuang broke out of the level of a 6th-order emperor, and now he goes out to fight again. I am afraid he is not weak anymore. At least it can break through to about 40 floors. With the addition of the 10th floor of the Daoist, it will be 55th, and there is already a 6th-order level. Once the harmony is successful, it will be the 6th-order emperor directly. This is probably unprecedented, and there is no one to come after. The current North Watchtower has not only attracted countless inheritors, but even many powerful people in the Palace of the Elders have come to watch it. Among them, Qiu Huang also came with a Dharmakaya. In a blink of an eye, is this kid almost like me? Qiu Huang's heart trembled secretly. Wu Zhuo took a step and reached Qiu Huang's side, and encouraged, you have to work hard, otherwise Jian Wushuang will surpass you. I have agreed to that matter, but I can only maintain 3 breaths, and everything depends on you. Qiu Huang said without moving his face, speaking from the bottom of his heart. At the beginning of the plan that Jian Wushuang proposed, he still hesitated, mainly because he was afraid that Jian Wushuang would not be able to do it, and then others would not kill him, so he went in first. Now it seems that there are no surprises. Wu Zhuo was overjoyed in his heart. This plan has a 70% chance of winning. His law enforcement hall, in cooperation with Qiu Huang, who was in charge of the central teleportation array, could completely keep Jian Wushuang away. The two just took a look, and then left separately. Did not stay here much. Wu Zhuo is very clear about Jian Wushuang's strength, and there is nothing to look at. Can the future successor of the Temple of Fortune be weak? The stronger Jian Wushuang showed, the more firmly Wu Zhuo believed that he was right. In the future, Jian Wushuang will reach the top and inherit the orthodox of Chishan. When the time comes, let alone a palace master, it is not too much to get him a palace master. He did not help Jian Wushuang less. Now he is standing on a boat, and from now on he will be Jian Wushuang's confidant. At this time, Jian Wushuang in the North Watchtower didn't know that he had aroused countless people's onlookers. Still immersed in it. Now that he has reached the 40th floor, the opponents he meets again are all 5th-order emperors. But Jian Wushuang still didn't mean to draw a sword. The phantom sword condensed with countless sword auras in his body is enough to kill all enemies. And the strong man condensed by the black mist has not been able to say his title until now. Ayah. Countless sword energy swept away, and the black mist dissipated again. Jian Wushuang scanned the surroundings curiously. Starting from the 10th level, stones appeared on the planet, and at the 20th level, water began to appear on the planet. There were plants on the 30th floor, and now on the 40th floor, the changes on this planet had exceeded Jian Wushuang's imagination. Even life has reproduced. This is everything. Jian Wushuang was very pleased after discovering it. This planet is related to everything. The planet he was in the sky at the beginning is also very similar to this place. This is very helpful to his power of all things. He now doesn't worry about the power of all things going out of change, but let it go out of change. Because he discovered that the ultimate evolution of the power of all things is likely to be life. That is a brand new force. Divine power is just the power of the divine body. The power of all things comes from the origin of all things. And after everything has changed, what will it be? Mind power produces consciousness, swallowing can make life grow strong, and the power of all things is to evolve life. That is the power of life. Jian Wushuang thought of this, his aura was a bit thick, the power of life. He hadn't even heard it. Life force. After the surroundings changed again, Jian Wushuang found that there were more fish in the water. That is the most primitive life. They all need to survive in the water, and they have not yet evolved the ability to survive on land. Then I will speed them up. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile. He wanted to try to see if the life force he had guessed existed. A powerful force of all things came, and then began to quickly change. His extreme path was also at this moment, and began to change with the power of suppressing all things. Directly reached the 9th floor of consummation. The extreme path is completely consummated, and the power of all things is completely transformed. However, the change is not the force of life. It's a strange halo that emits green light. Just when this special power was born, the swallowing power swarmed and began to swallow it. So that's it. Fusion would actually be like this. He didn't need to do anything at all. The three forces began to quickly eat away and then merge. The power of life had already been planted at the moment he thought about it. Brand new power. If someone could grasp the power of all things before, then he hadn't even heard of the power of life. Mastering the power of life, I am afraid that it will really follow all things to live and follow all things to die. Everything is in his thoughts. Jian Wushuang's breakthrough here surprised the black mist expert in the distance. It didn't find any changes in Jian Wushuang, but was just wondering why Jian Wushuang didn't go to kill him directly this time. End of this chapter. Chapter 5505. What? You didn't recruit anymore. The Black Mist powerhouse finally said a complete sentence. In this North Tower, there is actually an opponent, but the opponent's strength will change with the number of floors. After Jian Wushuang mastered the power of life, his temperament changed. When mastering the power of mind, the mental power in his body is very sufficient. When others look at it, they will think that Jian Wushuang is a strong man with good consciousness. The power of devouring is somewhat evil, but after another thought, can human beings devour all kinds of beings not evil? That evil aura is like an innate fear, which makes people feel flustered when they see it. The power of all things is different from the previous two. The power of all things changed Jian Wushuang's view of Wn Dao, more like his only way. Wn Dao, he favors Kendo alone. No matter what power it is, he will eventually be integrated into the Kendo skills. The devouring power in the Phantom Sword, the powerful thought power of the Absolute Immortal Array, or the heavenly punishment of all things, formed the Heavenly Punishment Sword. Now that he has mastered a brand new power, the force of life, his temperament has become very gentle, and he can feel a warm heart when everything meets him. It is a natural breath. A breath of innocence. People naturally have a good impression of him. He represents life. At this moment, Jian Wushuang opened his arms to influence everything. The strong man gathered by the black mist looked at Jian Wushuang like a fool. But then, the fish in the water began to metamorphose, and those inch-long fish began to gradually grow, and then grew all kinds of strange-shaped wings. These beings have directly surpassed everything and can fly directly before reaching the land. You actually interfered with the rules of this place. The eyes of the strong black mist were almost staring. There is a complete universe origin in this place. How could it be interfered by a Taoist monarch? Jian Wushuang completely relaxed. The fish flying in the sky turned around Jian Wushuang, and they regarded Jian Wushuang as their father god. The origin here should be a complete origin of everything, Jian Wushuang guessed. To be able to evolve this planet, the origin of that universe is absolutely extraordinary. Only the origin of everything can do it. He had never expected that someone would be able to pull together a complete source of everything. The three major gods are really extraordinary. The Black Mist expert did not answer Jian Wushuang's question, but asked, "How did you do it?" "Because I am a god, the only true god." Jian Wushuang's aura skyrocketed, and as soon as the life force was released, all the lives in this area began to degenerate. The elder-winged fish lost its wings and fell into the water, and then the body began to decompose and weaken, turning into everything. And the strong black mist is also degenerating. Its degeneration is a bit slow. First the fog becomes thinner, and then only a red robe falls to the ground. Disappeared. Jian Wushuang was surprised. This was the first time he used this power. Unexpectedly, let the other party disappear directly. Then he reversed his life and accelerated the life force here again, and the strong black mist was resurrected. This time, without waiting for the opponent to speak, Jian Wushuang shot the opponent directly with a sword aura. The life force is now fused, which is different from what he had previously guessed. At first he thought that when the fusion, the three need to be one, with each other in check. It turned out to be different. On this planet, he saw the ultimate transformation of the power of all things before he decided to give it a go. It turns out I was thinking too much. Jian Wushuang scratched his head. He really thinks too much. I don't know if it is too admirable or underestimated. However, he was able to complete the Jidao to consummation, and the road had come to an end, only to the consummation of Kendo, and then Hadao. Everything is fine. He doesn't need to specialize in the realm of black holes, or to pursue the invisible and intangible mental consummation. Everything is developing for the better. He felt that all this was a bit simpler. It's a lot of thanks to this place. Otherwise, he walked all the way to the dark, and has been suppressing the transformation of the power of all things, and I am afraid that he will not be able to break through in his life. Jian Wushuang's excited hands trembled. Ever since I mastered the extreme way, I have been along the way. Too many bumps. During the Nian Li period, he was either on the way to escape in the great wilderness, or was preparing to escape. He couldn't rest for a day, and finally survived by chance and entered the Temple of Chishan. When he swallowed the power, he was haunted by the evil aura again, until the power of all things later, he never stopped killing. Just like a person, blood sacrifices to the common people, and I don't know how many people have been killed. Everything is fine now. He finally got rid of which kind of killing Kyoko. That kind of killing was not the same as Kendo's killing. Kendo is warlike, and devouring is destroying. There is still a gap. The surroundings changed again, and he broke through another layer. The environment on the planet also changed accordingly, and Jian Wushuang continued to ponder the power of life, not paying attention to the black mist expert at all. Having been using the life force to torture the opponent, the body quickly dissipated, and then quickly recovered. That kind of coincidence of life and death caused the black mist powerhouses to collapse. Although it is not transformed by life, it is related to everything. Even if it is a piece of wood, Jian Wushuang can use the power of life to turn it into a towering giant tree, and at the same time, it can make a trace of weakness and regenerate its light. In general, Jian Wushuang discovered that the power of life corresponds not only to life, or that everything is a part of life, and he can intervene. This ability can bring him too many benefits. And he discovered that the acceleration of life is the acceleration of time, which has a lot to do with the origin of time. He even wondered whether he would skip the space and master the origin of time after he succeeded in combining the origin of Jidao. It's really possible. If this is true, and an emperor masters the origin of time, then he is truly against the sky. Change your fate. ISNT, the messenger of all things, You dare to treat me this way? I am the messenger of all things personally refined by the great Xuanyi Hall Master. The strong man died and recovered again and again, constantly cursing Jian Wushuang. It would be okay if Jian Wushuang killed him with a single sword, but the constant delay to ravage him made him very annoyed, and he vowed to retaliate when Jian Wushuang reached the next few floors. Jian Wushuang didn't pay attention to the other party, but when he heard Shen Yi, he still leaked a hint of surprise. But I didn't ask too much. If the lord of the Xuanwu Hall was really Teacher Xuanyi, he would have come to him a long time ago, and in the Three Kings Court, Teacher Xuanyi said that he would meet in the future, not now. However, he is still a little curious about being able to have the same name. Chapter 5506. If you have a chance in the future, you will definitely have to meet the Master Xuanyi. As for the messenger of all things, what Jian Wushuang had learned about was a puppet. It's just that this messenger of all things manipulates the entire origin of all things in the universe, and at a specific level, it can display the combat power of all levels. At the top level is the master of all things. That is really powerful. I am afraid that no one in the Temple of Chishan can get to the end. The Lord of all things, but one of the three great gods, is as famous as the Desolate Lord, and much stronger than the three kings. It is the pinnacle among the lords of the universe, only weaker than the gods alone. The origin of such a strong man is indeed worthy of his exploration. After he has explored the planet, he will go to comprehend the origin of all things. Look at the origin of everything at the master level of the universe, what it is like. Breaking through so many levels, he has gained an unknown number of enlightenment times. At least it has been hundreds of millions of times. Each layer has doubled, and he has now broken through 30 layers. How many times does the ghost know? After Jian Wushuang realized the changes on this planet, he once again killed the messenger of all things with a single sword. After he didn't reach the first floor, he would feel for a year, and the messenger of all things had been tortured by him. Soon he reached the 50th floor, the 40th floor he broke through. The messenger of all things now has the level of a 6th order emperor. It's impossible to be ravaged like that. Hey, kid, are you still my opponent now? The messenger of all things sneered. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile. When he hadn't grasped the power of life, he was indeed at the level of tier 6, but now, that's not necessarily the case. Universe. Jian Wushuang just spit out 2 words indifferently, and the whole planet dimmed. A squirrel stealing fruit in the woods is holding a red fruit, and looking around, wondering why it gets dark so soon. But then, a force came, and the squirrel directly turned into a skeleton. The skeleton sank into the ground and became a fossil. In a flash, hundreds of millions of years passed. Everything is changing, but Jian Wushuang is the only one who takes care of himself. Finally, the power of life can be integrated into the universe, and the universe will not be so monotonous if you use it in the future. Jian Wushuang raised his hand, and the world returned to its original form. The squirrel in the woods froze for a moment, then dropped the fruit and ran away. Jian Wushuang felt everything around him. But Yin-Yang universe has shrunk to the size of a battle, and at this time it is binding the messenger of all things. Outside world. In the main hall of the North Tower. 100,000 strong people have gathered here. They all waited for the ranking changes, but they were only concerned about Jian Wushuang. Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang, broke through to the 40th floor. Even Wanyan, who was very calm at the beginning, was also very excited. He knew that Jian Wushuang had the strength to reach the 40 level, but he didn't know it after the 40 level. He only reached the 53rd floor, and Jian Wushuang had now reached the 55th floor, and each time it would drag on for a year before passing. Everyone has discovered this law. Even the old man guarding this place has been paying attention to Jian Wushuang. Now Jian Wushuang's fame has completely started. Even many inheritors believe that Jian Wushuang was not taken away by others, but was brought into a special inheritor by the true spirit. Now that he has left the customs, his strength has reached an incredible level. Dao Jun has the power of a 6th order emperor. It makes them dare not think so. Jian Wushuang, ranked first, changed again and broke through the 41st floor. It's still a year, someone exclaimed. They are all about to collapse. Every time Jian Wushuang broke through on time after a year, what happened inside? Some people speculate that Jian Wushuang has a special treasure that can be cleared at will. Some people even went to the senior officials of the Yuan Laro Palace to report, but the result was that there was no change in the North Tower, and Jian Wushuang's strength was too strong. The news that Jian Wushuang broke through the 41st floor was spread again. This time Qing Niu Laro Dao, one of the 3 masters of the Senate Palace, came in person. He is faintly ranked first in the 3 major palace masters, and is the pinnacle of power in the Palace of the Elders. Many people saw it, and they all hurriedly stepped forward to see you. Whether it is the inheritor or the native emperor of the 4 secret realms, he respects this kind-faced old way very much. Wu's was figure. I don't know when he came here, he deliberately covered his breath, only Qing Niu Laro Dao spotted his figure. Brother Wuzwa, I heard that Jian Wushuang has something to do with you. Daoist Qingniu said unintentionally. If this is the case, he will have to invest in advance. Jian Wushuang has such potential, he must be a big figure in the Temple of Chishan in the future. Hold his thigh, he must advance. Wuzwa didn't care about it. He knew what the other party was thinking, but he sneered in his heart. Only he can get on the ship that can get Jian Wushuang, and the rest of them don't even think about it. Once that plan is carried out, these people will go after Jian Wushuang. It's no use going to please now. When the time comes, True Spirit will cooperate with the plan and directly order them to chase Jian Wushuang, and these people may fall into trouble. After the plan was completed, Jian Wushuang would naturally not have a good impression of these people. On the contrary, he had participated in the plan and won Jian Wushuang in advance. In the future, Jian Wushuang will reach the top and only remember his goodness. Palace Master, I have only met Jian Wushuang on several fronts, and we are not familiar with each other. Wuzwa replied. Daoist Qingniu was taken aback for a moment. He knew Wuzwa very well. Before entering the Temple of Chishan, he heard that he was very arrogant, and he was obedient and subdued when the True Spirit was restrained. He had been holding Zhenling's thighs all the time, but now he was dizzy, and took the initiative to leave Jian Wushuang aside. There must be some conspiracy. Do you want me to take the initiative to dispel this idea? Old Green Bull said inwardly, and then leaked a strange smile, and said, Jian Wushuang's talents must be someone who is optimistic about Master True Spirit. After he comes out, either Yuan Laro Palace must state that if the rest of the people disagree, I can do it alone. After Wuzwa heard it, he cursed secretly, and Qingniu had finished saying any good things. Obviously the other party didn't believe that he had no special relationship with Jian Wushuang. This is for him to speak to Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, is not so stupid anymore. Will not be calculated by these old guys. Treasure is a fart. How many treasures can these old guys produce? But he smashed his worth to Jian Wushuang. Do these people have this courage? Brother Qingniu, you should bring these words to Jian Wushuang by yourself. After Wuzwa finished speaking, he dashed away and left. He doesn't have a good impression of these palace masters now. He was allowed to do good and bad things, and in the end he didn't get anything, but every time he was scolded, he had to be pushed out. The Emperor Lu Hua, who had a life and death relationship with him, helped him become the palace lord with the help of words, and now there is no news. Chapter 5507. No one can rely on it. Still have to rely on Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang gets up, he will get better. The True Spirit is always the True Spirit, and there is always an old day. Once a suitable heir appears, the True Spirit will have to abdicate. At that time, Jian Wushuang said it all alone, he didn't want to do it. The Senate Palace, the 4 major temples, are all his. Wuzwa dreamed of the spring and autumn period and went directly to the origin sea of the Temple of Chishan. Master True Spirit, Jian Wushuang has broken through again, and now he has the power of a 6th-order emperor. Wuzwa came this time and specifically boasted Jian Wushuang. Zhenling blinked his eyes, knowing Wuzwa's careful thoughts, and then thinking about leaking a wicked smile, he said, if this is the case, then you have to be rewarded. But recently, you also know that the treasures are all in Zhuyi. I want to mobilize it, which is not easy to handle. So, this time you will give it to Jian Wushuang on your behalf, and you will give it to you later. To make up, it is a matter of giving more and giving less. Anyway, the future of Chishan Temple is 90% possible, and it is all his. Zhenling dug another big hole for Wu Zuo. As for whether Jian Wushuang was the successor, he already had the answer in his mind. The Lord of all things is most suitable for Jian Wushuang, and the position of the three major gods can be determined. As for the successor of the gods, everything is possible without chaos. But it will never be Jian Wushuang. Originally, according to his intention, let alone the position of the Divine Lord, even the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe would not give Jian Wushuang, but now it seems that the evil aura on Jian Wushuang's body has dissipated, but it is possible to arrange a Divine Lord's position. This is also worthy of Jian Wushuang's potential. He has other plans for the position of Chishan. For now, no matter whether it is the inheritors of Shang, Hua Qing, and Jian Wushuang, or the inheritors of special origin, they are not under his consideration. Those who can inherit the gods must have a clean foundation. He was afraid that the predicted person would inherit the position of Chishan, and when the time comes, he would take the temple of Chishan to die. Jian Wushuang was probably the one. Yu Hua Qing, he was optimistic about Hua Qing at first, but later discovered that Hui Qing's timeline had changed, and the future had also changed, so he didn't dare to press on Hua Qing again. In the Tomb Mountain, there are still several practitioners who have reached the ultimate path to consummation, each of which is not obvious, but the strength is extremely strong, and the Taoist can be comparable to the Fifth Order Emperor. He can look at the timeline of these people at will, and he is more optimistic about these people. If there are any changes in the future, these talents can be trusted. There are people behind Jian Wushuang who have cultivated Jian Wushuang as an heir, but in the end he was picked off by others. Isn't he a pawn? Really is not stupid. So Wu Zuo has always been simple. This. Wu Zuo hesitated. Most of his treasures were given to Jian Wushuang, and the remaining half, most of them were treasures he used, and there were no extra treasures, so he gave Jian Wushuang again. Up. If he invests again, he has to sell his treasure. But True Spirit said that the future Chishan Temple will be Jian Wushuang, and there is still a 90% chance, which is 20% higher than when he told him last time. He gritted his teeth and reluctantly agreed. If it didn't work, he took advantage of Jian Wushuang's time in the North Watchtower to make a fortune in the Boundary. It's messy there, and the temple itself is too busy, and doesn't care about him at all. But it shouldn't be too shabby. Jian Wushuang hasn't been in harmony now, so he must be the treasure of harmony in need, so he will look for it according to this standard. If there was no land boundary, he took the treasure to find Zhu Yichang. Thinking of this, Wu Zuo didn't dare to delay any longer, and quickly retreated, letting True Spirit teleport him to the realm directly. The key is that no matter how many treasures he produces, the True Spirit will eventually compensate him. He is considered to be fame and fortune. Even if he sells his own treasure, he can find the True Spirit to have a more powerful treasure at that time. No matter how he counts, he doesn't lose. Looking at Wu Zuo, he muttered to himself, "How did I accept such a stupid apprentice in the first place?" Zhenling shook his head, not thinking about it anymore. The three major gods, the inheritance of Huang and all things have a fixed number, and there is another one who originally planned to give Hua Qing, but since Hua Qing went to the realm, he became more and more unable to see the other party, so he dispelled this idea. On Jian Wushuang's side, he at least knew some details, but now Hui Qing's timeline was blurred and he couldn't see clearly. And before Foyigo recovered, he felt a sense of threat, which came from Hui Qing's side, and he felt that something was wrong. Now he felt that the idea was more and more serious, and it exceeded the threat that Foyigo gave him. This time the plan was successful. After Foyigo was eliminated, he had to replan Hua Qing. Get rid of. It's a pity, but if Hua Qing is not eliminated, he won't get peace for a day. Everything that was in his control has become very bad now. In a small universe, there are so many people who are against the sky. I thought it was because the original universe was afraid of the god, that he did not hesitate to overdraft his origin to create so many powerful practitioners. Now this reason is somewhat unjustifiable. After all, Hua Qing must be blamed for all this. When the Three Kings Court was opened, one of the major benefits was to make Hua Qing successful. In this way, An emperor who fulfills the ultimate path can be guaranteed. But now that he was cultivated, it made him more and more frightened. Instead, get rid of it. Originally thought that he had made a profit, but he didn't expect that he would be the one who lost the most in the end. Where did the real spirit continue to hold the chess piece, lost in thought? However, there was a great chaos in the realm. There was originally a lunatic Broly, but recently there was a shameless and extremely strong man who specially robbed the 6th Order Emperor. Even the 5th Order Emperor went to grab it from behind. This also caused many forces to quickly take refuge in the temple and were blessed. This time Wu Zhuo had done a good job for the temple. The temple naturally didn't care about it, just showed Wu Zhuo's name and dharma. As a result, all the emperors in the realm were scolding Wu Zhuo shamelessly. Even the 5th Order Emperor didn't let it go. Wu Zhuo didn't care about it. Anyway, he is full of goods. At the same time, he also received good news from Jian Wushuang. Now One Piece has broken through to the 43rd floor. In the North Tower. This time Jian Wushuang was not so easy to suppress the messenger of all things, so he could only fight hard. Senior, give me a chance, I don't want to torture you all the time, but I have my own difficulties. Jian Wushuang explained where he stood. But the messenger of all things did not listen at all. Now that the messenger of all things has a tier 6 top combat power, Jian Wushuang is not an opponent at all. Give you a chance. Have you ever given me a chance to speak? The messenger of all things sneered. Jian Wushuang sighed and said, then you will be offended. Chapter 5508. His current strength is indeed inferior to the opponent, but he has a way to trap the opponent all the time, and then he has been studying here. But in this way, he completely offended the other party to death. Although you can't beat the opponent, it's easy to get trapped. He now found that the force of life was somewhat resistant to killing, but it could integrate life and the killing of swordsmanship. Can enhance his actual combat power. The 9th level of Kendo was unable to break through for a long time, but it had a rudimentary form in the genius. Life and killing. He now wants to create a stronger to enhance his combat power. Otherwise, it is to use a handful of treasures as a fire stick. Just use it on the blade. Jian Wushuang still understands this truth. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on a rock in a river, and from time to time some evolutionary fish swam by. As soon as he thought, the golden sword also turned into a fish, circling around him. What's wrong? Jian Wushuang frowned. Life is the opposite of killing and cutting, and merging into a kind of jerk will give birth to a huge power. The more the opposite forces merge, the greater the effect. Maybe he could take advantage of this opportunity to make a breakthrough in one fell swoop. Cultivate both of the original Tao to consummation, and then you will be able to join the Tao. But things were not as simple as he thought. The fusion of the two forces, that violent force directly shook him out of his internal injuries, and the origin was torn apart. A mouthful of golden blood came out, and Jian Wushuang stopped. No, Ji Dao originally reached the 9th floor. The gap between Kendo and Ji Dao is a bit big. This is the opposite. If you want to merge, you must find a balance. Now the gap is a bit too much. Jian Wushuang shook his head, and finally give up. Cool. He recovered his breath, ready to fight the messenger of all things. It is not his nature to quit, even if he loses, he still has to try. Wow. The universe began to spread, releasing the suppressed messenger of all things. The messenger of all things inside moved his wrist and said angrily, "Boy, you really annoy me, I won't let you lose so fast." Really? Jian Wushuang said calmly. He really didn't believe it. What about the 6th Order Top Emperor? It's not that he is trapped by his universe. The universe with the power of life is not dead, but alive. Jian Wushuang could feel that breath and could move. Die to me. The messenger of all things, as soon as he came, hit a ruthless hand, saying that he would not let Jian Wushuang lose so fast, but he did not take any measure. He had already thought about it, either to be beaten to death by Jian Wushuang, or to kill Jian Wushuang, and let the other party go out quickly. 6 sharp scimitars cut open the sky. Jian Wushuang controlled Yin-Yang universe, trying to suppress the opponent's strength, but when he encountered that knife, his heart was still shock. Too strong. That fierce breath was much stronger than his swordsmanship, and it was not a level opponent at all. Come out. Jian Wushuang pointed out, and Jueyun's sword blasted out loudly behind him. This was the first time that Jueyun's sword was used, and it contained the aura of Jueyun Great Emperor. That aura of fierceness was stronger than the messenger of all things. You actually have this sword. The envoy of all things was also startled. The shadow left by that Emperor Jueyun at the beginning was not much weaker than Jian Wushuang. Jian Wuming was also very surprised. Once the power in the Jueyun sword was triggered, it was even stronger than his own kendo. Unexpectedly, just with the aura of the great Emperor Jueyun, it could be strong to this extent. With a sword, it directly broke the first sharp knife. But for the second one, he couldn't help it. Jian Wushuang could only tell the truth, relying on the beasts and gods to resist. This punch represents life. Jian Wushuang threw a punch. It was a punch accompanied by the power of life. He also broke the second sharp knife. 2 of the 6 sharp knives broke. He has no more means to get on the table. One thought of the universe can weaken the other party and improve himself, but it also has a limit. Facing the subsequent sharp knife attack, Jian Wushuang directly burned the source. Those strong men who have left the North Watchtower will go to the Funyang Island Valley to heal their injuries, because when they come to the North Watchtower to challenge, they will burn their origins. Under normal circumstances, the source is burned only when desperately. No one is going to burn their own origin or divine body as a last resort. But because of the treasure land on Funyang Island, the origin and divine body can be quickly restored, directly causing a wave of burning origin and divine body. Of course, it is not burning everywhere, and it needs to be returned at the same price. The points you get in the North Watchtower and the number of times you have learned the origin of all things are very precious. If you don't break through once, even if you have cultivated to the Lord of the Universe, you will have at most dozens of enlightenment qualifications. Of course, the Lord of the Universe can't pull it so far, and it can't break through once. But the qualifications of some strong people are okay in the outside world, and they can even be said to be Tianjiao, but in the Palace of the Elders, who is not a Tianjiao? If you want to be stronger, you have to pay a price. Burning the origin, to pursue breakthroughs, this is the price. When you get the chance to enlighten, go to enlighten. Points are used to exchange tokens, and the power of everything. These 2 things can be exchanged for points. 1 token with 100 points can be used 10 times. 10 times it will be broken. Some people got stuck on the first floor, tried countless times and succeeded, finally making it impossible to enter the North Tower. These people will find other people to buy tokens. Sometimes a token is fired at a sky-high price, and 1 token can sell hundreds of billions of sacred stones. And the power of all things is a wisp of 100 points. The origin of the entire universe has the ability to regenerate and is not afraid of being exchanged by others. Jian Wushuang glanced at his own points. This time I am afraid that the Beiwang Tower will go bankrupt. The strength of this layer is too strong. He is not an opponent at all. After burning the source, he broke another sharp knife in front of him, and he was powerless with the 3 sharp knives behind. It directly pierced his body, and the divine body shattered suddenly. With the power of life, he was able to restore the divine body and origin in an instant, but the sharp aura contained in the sharp knife didn't even leave him a blink of an eye, and directly killed him. Cool. I still lost. Jian Wushuang didn't regret anything. Just felt this kind of despair, even more desperate than others said. If he wants to defeat the opponent, he must at least reach the 9th level in Kendo, and then create his own pinnacle. The way to improve, he has. There is no need to stay in the North Tower like others. In fact, with this perseverance, it is better to go to Maureen Mountain to try. The origin of all things is indeed very powerful, but it can only be understood for 1 day at a time, and the time is too short. Little help to others. However, Jian Wushuang's number of times was a bit too much, so many that he could comprehend for hundreds of millions of years, and he could not use it up. And there are points. I don't know if he can buy the whole source of everything with these points. Now that the rules have been established, the true spirit should not be shameless. End of this chapter. Chapter 5509. Jian Wushuang is a bit tangled now. If he used his points to redeem the origin of everything, he might be able to buy this North Watch Tower. But after buying the North Tower, his number of enlightenments disappeared. This is a bit of a loss. Jian Wushuang thought about it, preparing to find a compromise, to see if he could discount the number of insights. But he really thinks too much about this. He couldn't count the number of times, but the emperor guarding here could be counted more. The upper tier of the Senate Palace is now in discussions. It depends on who is asked to report to the real spirit, or simply not report. That is the North Tower, a cosmos peak treasure, and there is a complete source of everything, which is very rare. Although this kind of treasure cannot be privately owned, the number of sacred stones and treasures collected from the North Watch Tower every year can be said to be countless, such a cornucopia. How could they give Jian Wushuang? Even if they agree, I am afraid that true spirit is not willing. I think we should discuss this matter with Jian Wushuang first, so that he understands our difficulties. Emperor Lu Hua made a suggestion. He didn't want to offend Jian Wushuang, let alone lose this cornucopia. Although Taoist Qingyou was also very optimistic about Jian Wushuang, he chose the latter compared to his own interests. Benefits are above all else. Thanks Tusk, Lu Hua. Speaking of Jian Wushuang, it seems that he still belongs to your faction. I think it is appropriate for you to say it. Changfeng Sword God sneered. He had no idea about Jian Wushuang at first, only felt that he was a heaven-defying Taoist monarch, not to the point where he insisted on wooing him. But from the performance of Jian Wushuang in the North Watch Tower, he had to bow his head to draw in, and the relationship between Jian Wushuang and Wuzhou was very delicate. This has always made him feel a step slower, and now it seems that he can take this opportunity to let Lu Hua go to Jian Wushuang to talk, not only not guilty but also making Lu Hua a villain. Qingyou's eyes turned, and he also understood the meaning of Changfeng. Both of them were silent, waiting for Lu Hua to agree. Emperor Lu Hua never expected that at this time, he still thought of putting him together. It had a good relationship with Jian Wushuang, it was Wuzhou, not him. Don't worry about this matter, my brother Wuzhou is in the boundary, and we will discuss it together when he comes back. Emperor Lu Hua raised this problem to Wuzhou again. Now Wuzhou is not there, and I can't refute it. Qingyou said indifferently, Brother Lu Hua, I can't wait for this matter. Yes. Jian Wushuang's improvement is very fast, there are a lot of treasures needed, so I can't keep dragging it. From now on, let the temple know, and think that our senator palace is nothing to say. Changfeng Sword God also added to the flames. Lu Hua was very embarrassed. He wanted to raise the table and fight with the two. If you want to talk, go talk. If he insisted on pulling him into the water and pressing him into a hurry, he agreed to give Jian Wushuang the complete origin of everything. When the time comes, there will be a shell left in the North Watch Tower, to see how they explain to the true spirits. This matter, they really dare not go to Zhenling to report. No one can let the true spirit go back. They have seen the means of the true spirit. At that time, this problem will be kicked to the real spirit. If the real spirit can't wipe it away, I'm afraid they will be able to tear down the palace of the old men. Don't forget, this patriarch's palace was built by the real spirit. Isn't it just the bad treasures? Even if the Daoist is in great demand, it's a big deal to go there. I think I will take out some treasures to Jian Wushuang first, and when Wuzhou returns, we will let Wuzhou Hall Master talk to Jian Wushuang, said firmly. He didn't even mean to find Jian Wushuang by himself. Seeing this, Qingyou and Changfeng couldn't say anything more. I've been thinking a little bit recently. I'm afraid I'll be in a retreat for a while. Brother Lu Hua will take care of these things. Qingyou slowly got up and left directly. The meaning in the words is obviously to hide. Changfeng Sword God also frowned. He originally wanted to use this excuse, but he didn't expect to be snatched by Qingyou. By the way, there is a batch of rough rocks that need to be transported in the mines of the far north. Since Brother Wuzhou is not here, I have to take a trip personally. Changfeng took the opportunity, found an excuse, and ran away. Only Emperor Lu Hua sits in the first place, and he doesn't know what to do for a while. It's small, the structure is small, it's embarrassing to use it. Emperor Lu Hua has already seen the methods of these two people. Really think you can be fooled by hiding? Thinking is too simple. Jian Wushuang is not a fool. Jian Wushuang at this time had just left the North Tower. In the hall, many people were waiting for Jian Wushuang to appear. After seeing Jian Wushuang being teleported out, many people looked enviously. But among these people, few had friendships with Jian Wushuang at all. Brother Wushuang, it's been a long time since we saw each other. You will give us a big surprise as soon as we meet. A well-dressed female emperor walked out and greeted Jian Wushuang on the initiative. Jian Wushuang glanced intently and recognized the person in front of him. There was no arrogance in him, and he said calmly, "It's a bit abrupt, fellow Lung Shuang. The visitor is the Lung Shuang Daojun who has seen several times in Jiajiu Primitive Star, but now the opponent is already Lung Shuang Emperor, and he is also a Tier 4 Peak Emperor. At the beginning, her potential was much stronger than tearing the sky. But the potential is nothing more than potential after all. It takes a lot of opportunity and courage to transform into strength. Obviously, she is inferior in this respect." After chatting with a few acquaintances, Jian Wushuang followed Dong Sheng and Wn Yang to leave here. Go to my cave mansion today. I happen to have some strange treasures." Jian Wushuang was in a good mood. He really has a lot of treasures in Wuzhou. Some exotic flowers and fruits, as well as wine from the Wuzhou collection. This time he rushed to the North Tower, and his receipt was indeed very large. Leaving aside the original rewards, let's just say that he has made a major breakthrough on the extreme path and mastered the power of life, which is more important than anything else. Origin of the universe. Foreign objects. After he became the Lord of the Universe, he still cared about this. Of course, he will still want what he deserves. This time the points is enough for him to redeem the complete origin of everything. On Funyang Island, we celebrated with Dongsheng and Wanyan, and then sent them out of the valley. He has the power of life. In fact, he can help them recover, but the power of life is his whole card, and he will not leak it easily. Unless everyone knows, he will help his friends to restore the divine body and origin. This is much faster than recovery in this valley. The original origin of all things can quickly restore the divine body and origin, let alone the power of life today. Brother Wushuang, don't give it away, go and take care of you. Wanyan smiled. Dong Sheng also said, "You are a celebrity now. I am afraid that there are many sixth-order emperors who are willing to make friends with you, but don't forget the two of us. You will develop in the future, you can take care of us one or two." End of this chapter. Chapter 55:10. Definitely. Jian Wushuang said loudly. After seeing these two off, Jian Wushuang's eyes faded. Go directly to the other core of Yuanyang Lake. He went first to the residence of Palace Master Lu Hua, which he was more familiar with. He is not familiar with the other two palace masters either. When he first came out, the first person he saw was Emperor Lu Hua, and he was familiar with him. Exchange the origin of everything, that's a big deal. The emperor who guarded the North Watch Tower directly asked him to find the palace lord. He could not be the master alone. Jian Wushuang also knew in his heart that the complete origin of all things, but the core of the North Watchtower, really made him exchange it, and I am afraid that the Watchtower is gone. Or rebuild a complete universe and send it to the North Tower. He galloped all the way without any concealment on his breath. When he arrived at the island where Emperor Lu Hua was located, the other party was already waiting for him outside. Haha, Jian Wushuang, I thought you would come to me when you left the North Tower. I didn't expect you to have free time to meet friends. Lu Huadijun smiled. But the bottom of my heart is surprise. Jian Wushuang gave him a special feeling, far from the average Tier 6 combat power. That's it for Dao Jun. After the success of the combination, I am afraid that he will be the 6th Order Emperor directly. It will not take long to catch up with him and become the pinnacle powerhouse among the best. This kind of character really can't be offended at will. Jian Wushuang respectfully worships and sees you, without much words. Now he is here to exchange the treasures, he can't say too much, he has to be calm. Emperor Lu Hua made a gesture of invitation, and the two entered the hall. The more polite the other party is, the more frustrated his heart is. The last time he said a complete cosmic origin, he didn't get it. In the final analysis, he violated the rules, and it doesn't matter if he didn't get it, but this time he definitely can't let it go easily. This time, he actually broke through the 43rd floor. The other party has no reason not to give it to him. Unless it's a private pocket, if that's the case, he will take this matter to the real soul. Anyway, Zhenling still asks for him. In order to catch Foy Ego's rebellious party, he is going to be a bait this time. What can I do if I don't have some treasures on my body? At least life-saving treasures, no less. If he could swallow a source of all things, let alone ascend to the sky in one step, his vitality might be greatly improved. Never compromise easily. After entering the hall, Emperor Lu Hua directly sat opposite Jian Wushuang. This was to be treated equally. Jian Wushuang, you are a blockbuster this time. Now your name is being circulated throughout the Yuan Palace. It won't be long before the people of the 4 secret realms will know you. Emperor Lu Hua still didn't talk about the business, and first praised it. This is not a flattery. A Taoist monarch has the power of a 6th-order emperor, and he can still break through the 43rd floor in the North Tower. If this is against those ordinary 6th-order emperors in the 4 great secret realms, they can all be suppressed. After all, some 6th-order emperors in the 4 great secret realms are very weak, and Jian Wushuang really has the strength to break the wrist with the opponent. Jian Wushuang smiled, without humility, and went directly to the topic. Palace Master, this time I came to see how many points I can exchange for the origin of everything. With that, he took out the token and pushed it to Emperor Lu Hua. You can't stop it, you have to face it sooner or later. These days, Emperor Lu Hua has also considered it clearly. Since he didn't want to offend and didn't want to let go, he simply raised it directly to the bright side to see how Jian Wushuang wanted to solve it. Of course he would attribute all this to Changfeng and Qingniu. Precisely picked up the token, checked it, and then took a breath of air conditioning, and said, to be honest, the points here are enough to redeem all the origins of all things in the North Tower. Just. Emperor Lu Hua was embarrassed. Jian Wushuang knew what he was going to say. It's nothing more than for the sake of the overall situation. A Taoist prince monopolizes a complete source of everything, which is too wasteful. It is better to wait for your strength to become stronger, and then give you these words. If Jian Wushuang waited, if he had to wait for him to be strong, he would never be strong. Although he is talented, he is not guarded against the sky. He does not need treasure blessings, and he can break through at will. Since entering the Temple of Chishan, the reason why his strength has been able to improve so quickly, there are 3 stages. The first stage is because of Qiu Huangcheng on the original star. At that time, his strength began to advance by leaps and bounds, from Daojun to rivaling the emperor. The second stage is the 10 exercises of his physical body, directly taking off. The emperor who can be compared to the 2nd-tier pinnacle. After being looted by the White King, he once again improved a lot, and was able to kill the 3rd-order emperor in an instant. The last stage is when he enters the ruins of the West Sea. In the court of the 3 kings, his strength has been promoted, copying the change road ladder, and re-experiencing everything that has changed. Then he fought with the first true king, his divine body reached 50,000 times, comparable to the 6th rank. At the beginning, he was able to reach the level of a 6th-order emperor because of the divine body. Now not only is the divine body comparable to the 6th-order emperor, but even the origin has reached this level, and now he has truly reached the level of the 6th-order combat power. It is not his potential or perseverance that he can go to today, but he has great opportunities and treasures. If the refining of the physical body had not been supported by Lord Shan and had swallowed the origin of the universe, he would have no hope of reaching consummation at all. In the realm, he wouldn't be where he is today without the chance of the 3 kings' court. Treasures are really important. Law and wealth are indispensable. The law represents a fascinating knowledge, and he can create it by himself now, and he does not need any cosmic inheritance or cosmic secret law. There is absolutely no shortage of money. He did not forget the embarrassment of the previous day. Emperor Lu Hua saw Jian Wushuang's persistence, and he didn't feel embarrassed to say it when the words came to his lips. In the end, it can only be changed temporarily, and he said, the origin of all things is really related, But 1 is 1 and 2 is 2. We are also very happy if you can do it. Presumably the Lord True Spirit is even more happy. Yu Tianjiao, we are all worthy of pride. You can rest assured of the origin of everything, and when the other 2 Palace Masters come back, I will definitely support you. Then thank you, Palace Master. He also plans to be able to get the origin of all things directly today. But there must be a definite time. Palace Master Lu Hua, I have just broken through the realm now, and I need a lot of treasures, please understand. The other party gives him a lot of face, and he will also give him face. As long as you don't say anything fake and empty. In the future, the temple of the gods will be him, and he is really going to offend him, and he will not give the other side a good face. Lu Hua also knew what it meant, and immediately took out a mustard seed and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Chapter 55:11. I don't care if I lack any treasures. Although this Senate Palace is not my sole responsibility, I can personally sponsor you. Based on your relationship with Wuzhua, we are all our own. Don't be polite to me. Jian Wushuang was also unambiguous, so he took it down and glanced at it with thought strength, very satisfied. The treasures inside are worth at least 100,000 square cosmos crystals, and the other party has really lost the money. Thank you, Palace Master, for the origin of everything. It's better to enchant within 10,000 years. Jian Wushuang released a deadline for the last time. Before the plan was implemented, if he couldn't get the origin of everything, he went to Wuzhua. Wuzhua has a way to contact Zhenling. Of course, doing that will tear your face apart, and in the end it won't look good to anyone. It is not necessary to be able to resolve it steadily. Jian Wushuang took the treasure, temporarily stabilizing it. Lu Hua also breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that Jian Wushuangyu would die. Temph, these idiots, I see how long you can hide. After sending Jian Wushuang away, Emperor Lu Hua's expression became cold. He began to say that he supported Jian Wushuang, it was not a lie. But after seeing Jian Wushuang, he really supported Jian Wushuang in his heart. The future successor to the Temple of Chishuang might be Jian Wushuang. The immediate benefits, although great. But it's not too big. Don't forget, all of this is given to them by the True Spirit. Everything depends on the meaning of the True Spirit. Like Qingyo and Changfeng, neither wanting to let go, nor wanting to offend Jian Wushuang, is simply the most stupid way. In the end, maybe even the treasure could not be kept, and he offended Jian Wushuang again. Fortunately, he was more fickle. After seeing Jian Wushuang again, he found that the situation was not right and made a clear choice directly. Pushing him out this time to talk to Jian Wuduan was actually quite good. Let him take this opportunity to show his favor to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, you have to hurry up. Emperor Lu Hua looked forward to the success of Jian Wushuang. His status would definitely rise. At that time, it will not be able to stop outsiders. Jian Wushuang returned directly to Yuanyang Island. Since it is not yet possible to get the origin of all things, come here for enlightenment first. Just a few days after leaving, he reappeared. This surprised many people. He won't break through again, right? Some gazes leaking shocked staring at Jian Wushuang. There are also some sixth-order emperors who can slightly see the aura on Jian Wushuang's body and talk. Probably not, his aura does not seem to have changed in any way. This is the Dao sovereign against the heavens, how can I wait to guess? Let's go in honestly. Jian Wushuang directly found the emperor guarding this place, and asked, Senior, I want to understand the origin of everything. The emperor guarding this place is a sixth-order emperor, and his strength is not average. I used to have nothing to look at, but after seeing Jian Wushuang, he immediately leaked a gentle smile, and quickly got up and said, Give me the token. I have received the order from Palace Master Lu Hua. From now on, you can feel free to enlighten it, no need to find me. Thank you so much. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Palace Master Lu Hua would be too polite. Although he has countless opportunities for enlightenment, even the origin of everything belongs to him. But you don't have to do this, just come to enlighten it casually. It seems that within 10,000 years, he really hopes to take away the origin of everything. Let's enlighten it now, and when he gets it, he can go directly to swallow it. After getting the token back, Jian Wushuang stepped into the teleportation formation. After a while, when he reappeared, he had already arrived in a hall. The hall is huge, more like a cave in the sky. A magnificent source of all things wandering in the wind. Originally Jian Wushuang would feel that facing the source of the universe, he would be more or less suppressed. But when he faced the origin of everything, he had a gentle feeling. There is some overlap between the origin of everything and the life force in his body, but the degree of overlap is not too high. Jian Wushuang slowly stepped forward, trying to reach out to touch it, but found that after the physical body touched all things, it directly merged with the origin of all things. This origin? He was a little shocked. Fusion of everything? No wonder he will be expected to break through. I am afraid that there is a great connection with the origin of all things. He tried to infiltrate the life force in his body and was also swallowed. This. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised at first. But then it was discovered that after the origin of all things merged with the life force, some changes had actually taken place. He holds the power of life and is very sensitive to life. He found a breath of life in the origin of all things. Is there life here? Jian Wushuang quickly backed away, and the being who lived in it seemed not to be weak too weird. He didn't dare to step forward to comprehend the mystery. The life here seems to long for the power of life in his body. It shouldn't be. Jian Wushuang was very surprised. He then thought that this place was arranged by the true spirit. The true spirit controls the Chishan temple and has the power of the Lord of the universe. How could he not discover that life is conceived in the origin of everything? In other words, the true spirit knows, and the true spirit put it into it. If this is the case, then the origin of all things is probably going to fly away from his mouth. No, I have to go in and take a look. This source of everything, but the thing in his bag, on the side of the couch, can't let others sleep soundly. Jian Wushuang blew out in one breath, and a Dharma body appeared, directly entering the origin of all things. There is no vitality in the body, but the power of all things. The two are the same. Even if he enters it, he is not rejected. Jian Wushuang's deity was sitting very close to the teleportation formation, and if something happened, he could escape immediately. After the clone entered the interior, it was discovered that the interior of the origin of the universe was actually a rudimentary cosmic space. The true meaning of time is already contained in this space. It's just that the origin of time is not condensed. Thousands together gather all things to form the universe, and then condense time, and finally produce life. And this universe is transformed by the origin of everything, so the space is very stable. This is the perfection of the space. Jian Wushuang was surprised at what he saw. His space, if only so perfect. It's just that when that day is reached, I'm afraid there will still be a long way to go. He is almost finished walking the path of the Taoist now. It's just a shortcoming of ultimate kendo. Jian Wushuang didn't stop, and walked directly toward that stream of life. He wanted to see what kind of life was bred inside. Even his life force will be plundered. The space of the universe is not big. Jian Wushuang reached the deepest point in a flash. That is a secret realm. This cosmic space can nurture secrets, indicating that his master was once very powerful. Only when there is a breakthrough in time can the black hole evolve into a secret world. Chapter 55:12. There is everything that the black hole has plundered, which is why so many powerful people have poured into the secret realm of the universe one after another. Jian Wushuang was standing above the secret realm at this time, and the breath of life was getting closer. What is hidden? He was already a little impatient. Anyway, it was a clone, there was nothing to be afraid of, so he plunged straight into it. After entering the secret realm, he discovered that the space and time here are more stable. Space is perfect, time is Mahayana, and there is life. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank suddenly. He has a general understanding of the level of life. His current life force can be used on himself at best. But this place can give birth to life. What does this mean? Life is bred from the origin of a master of the universe, which is probably a way out of a special way like him, unprecedented. This kind of origin is singular, that is, in a realm that shouldn't exist, it surpasses those strong who follow the prescribed line. Although Jian Wushuang didn't know much about the realm of the Lord of the Universe, he also had some knowledge of this after seeing so many sources of the universe. In the origin of the ordinary universe, the true meaning of time can come, even if it is a strong one among the masters of the universe. Within the origin of all things, there is the true meaning of time, which proves that the original Lord of all things is already the pinnacle of the universe. But in his secret realm, there is no hole in the sky, not only the perfection of the space is as simple as that. The true meaning of time, and the steady flow of time, can give birth to life. This is an exaggeration. Has exceeded the rules of the Lord of the Universe. Jian Wushuang swallowed, and he was the same, a Taoist monarch, not only the space Mahayana, but also bypassing the true meaning of time and mastering the power of life. Although the current life force is still very weak and cannot be blessed into the source at all, once his spatial source is recognized by the true meaning of time, he can directly infiltrate the life force into it. At that time, he can be promoted, directly surpassing the masters of the universe who follow the steps. Jian Wushuang's hands were trembling, and seeing the sight here gave him sufficient preparation for his future, and he had a very complete route. This trip didn't come in vain. The origin of everything, the North Tower. It is really a blessing for him. He is now more and more eager to get this complete source of everything. I want to see what has been nurtured. Jian Wushuang raised his hands and set off the natural rules laid out here. The power of the rules of the universe conceals the truth here. If he hadn't mastered the power of life, he wouldn't have discovered that there was life gestating here. Without the power of all things, it is impossible to enter it. The two are the same, he can't come in. The power of the rules dissipated, and Jian Wushuang's eyes peeked into it. With just a glance, a cold sweat appeared on his back, and the life contained in it made him tremble. Go. Jian Wushuang didn't even hesitate at all, and directly dissipated the clone, and the deity entered the teleportation formation at the first moment. Cool. Jian Wushuang relaxed after seeing the figure walking around. The emperor and powerful man sitting here was a little surprised. He didn't expect Jian Wushuang to come out so quickly. The flow of time inside was the same as the outside world, and it hadn't been a day since Jian Wushuang entered. You must know that every opportunity for enlightenment is only one day, and it is too late for others to grasp it. I am afraid that Jian Wushuang will not care. After all, the more points are that you have to find the origin of everything you buy. His Royal Highness Jian Wushuang, it's not ordinary to have completed the comprehension so quickly. The black-robe old man flattered, and then leaked a smile. Jian Wushuang now is like a bird of fright. He didn't want to stay here for a moment, nodded and left directly. After leaving the North Tower, he went straight to Maureen Mountain. After arriving at Maureen Mountain, head straight to the demon suppression space on the top of the mountain. Now that Wu Zhuo is not there, he can only come to the Magic Sound General. The figure of the Demon Sound God General was still sitting cross-legged in the demon suppression space, and Jian Wushuang heaved a sigh of relief when he arrived here. Master God, I want to see the true spirit. Jian Wushuang said the reason without hesitation. The Magic Sound will be very surprised, and said, but for the origin of all things? Yes, this matter is very important. Jian Wushuang's eyes were firm. Once the conceived life is successfully conceived, I am afraid it will be difficult to resist with the current temple of Chishan. Moreover, the power exuded by the other party was too strong, surpassing all the strong men he had seen. Stronger than the most powerful. Even the most powerful person among the ultimate emperors like Demon Sound God General, it is not that terrifying. Maureen God General was a bit embarrassed here. He also heard Dong Sheng and Wanyan talk about Jian Wushuang, but he didn't think Jian Wushuang could get the origin of everything. The origin of all things is very important to the North Watch Tower. It is the pinnacle of the universe. It was the treasure of fame in the hands of the Lord of all things, and its power can rival the 9 great beasts. He still thought that Jian Wushuang was looking for him to ask for the origin of everything, and he was a little reluctant in his heart. Even if he transmits the sound to the real spirit, it is estimated that the real spirit will not pay attention to him. What Emperor Lu Hua would have said, This time let the demon voice god general say it. Jian Wushuang, your current strength is not enough to control the origin of all things. When you are in harmony, everything will come naturally. Don't rush for a while. The magic sound will enlighten. Jian Wushuang was still very firm. He insisted on seeing the true spirit. Because the life bred in the origin of all things is a giant egg, and that giant egg is exactly the same as the one that gave birth to the gods. The Three Kings Court was destroyed like this at the beginning, and he didn't want to watch the Temple of Chishan turn into the Three Kings Court. Now he is still in the Temple of Chishan, the origin of all things. If he doesn't want it, he has to bring this matter to the true spirit. The shell of the dome has already begun to crack, and it is estimated that the life inside will be gestated soon. By then everyone will be finished. He didn't know if this was the plan of the gods or Four Ego's conspiracy. Anyway, it was very detrimental to the Temple of Chishan. This matter is very important, and he can't say anything before he sees the true spirit. To allow that dome to sneak into the origin of all things, I am afraid that there is an inner ghost in the palace of the elders. Everyone in the Chishan temple had doubts, and he dared not take this risk. Master God, I am not because of the origin of everything, but there are other things that I want to tell Master True Spirit, Jian Wushuang said politely. The demon sound god general was obviously not convinced, but since Jian Wushuang was so firm, he didn't have as much thought as the palace masters in the Yuan Lao Palace, so he directly transmitted the sound to the true spirit. On the real spirit's side, he was planning another thing at this time. When he received the news from the demon voice god general, he just glanced at it and ignored it at all. End of this chapter. Chapter 55:13. Because his deity was not in the sea of the universe, but went to the outer hall guarded by the Xuanwu temple. Little King Ba, I only need 7 messengers of all things, not 700, whether you give it or not, you will knock your head out. Zhenling stared at the small eyes, threatening the palace master Xuani. He is now preparing for the matter of the land boundary. The forest of 10,000 treasury still left its roots, and now it needs a group of strong men to settle down. Wus were cooperated with Jian Wushuang to fish for Four Ego in the heavens. He was not idle, and wanted to get a group of messengers of all things to completely remove the forest of 10,000 treasures. Palace Master Xian Yi kept smiling, but didn't let go, and didn't give anything. Master True Spirit, the primordial universe has been unable to shake the Lord for a long time. This messenger is absolutely immobile. I have already given one last time. I have to step up the refinement these days. There is really nothing left to do. Up. In the 10 puppet worlds, except for the first world, the other 9 worlds are all refining messengers of all things. Day and night, since the awakening of the Chishan temple, especially in this primitive universe, the Lord Xuani dare not relax for a moment, and has been refining the messengers of all things. The true spirit could not leave the temple of Chishan, when there was an accident in the outside world, and it had to rely on these messengers to withstand it. Among the inheritors, the Lord of the Universe did not appear, and the Qinglong Palace Lord did not hold office, and the pressure was all on him. The true spirit gritted his teeth and stood up directly from the main position. In this way, you will give me the 7 messengers of all things, and I will give you the North Tower, how about? My lord, don't fool me. Now the entire Chishan temple knows that the inheritor Jian Wushuang has broken through more than 40 floors, and the North Tower is not enough to compensate. The origin of everything, then it is my turn. Xian Yijian, although the Lord is not in the 4 secret realms, he still has a lot of eyes and ears, and he knows many things right away when he reads it occasionally. Zhenling patted his head, snorted coldly, turned his head and left. Not enough manpower. His deity wants to keep the opponent for ego and cannot leave easily. Except for Qinglong, the 4 halls can't get away. The key is that Qinglong has been dispatched by him to the secret realm of the human world, to observe Huaqing in secret. Just after he returned to the Sea of Origin, he felt a sense of danger again. That feeling came from the heavens. Although not breathable, he can deduct it. It has something to do with Four Ego. True Spirit stood up directly and began to monitor all the movements of the heavens at all times. Inside the palace of the elders, The dome lurking in the origin of everything began to show some cracks. The life in the dome has long formed consciousness. Naturally also saw Jian Wushuang. Life force. Frozer, you misunderstood me. How can there be a strong man who masters vitality here? The consciousness in the dome was struggling. He was more horrified than Jian Wushuang when he saw him. Gods. The root of the curse in the temple of Chishan. He was suppressed in the first prison. Jejie, Fumisha, you were fooled, that person's strength is very average, he is called Jian Wushuang, just a Taoist monarch, don't act rashly, I will arrange for ego to capture this person. The gods are very depressed. Fulmars is his chassis. As long as it can be successfully nurtured, it is a master of the universe. Although Fuego is now recovering, his strength can only be maintained at the lowest level of the Lord of the Universe, and it is difficult to play a role. If he wants to escape from the Temple of Chishan, he has to rely on this massa. When the three kingdoms were destroyed, Fuego was killed, and he was taken away by the Lord of all things, one of the three great gods. However, he also left a hand at that time, and he was guided to the time and space of Mo Luo when the dome that was supposed to have landed in another time and space entered into the origin of the Lord of all things. At the beginning, he kept flicking the Lord of all things, letting the Lord of all things take the mass of shepherd, so he took the opportunity to get out of control. As a result, before that day, Mo Luo Shikong died. In the silence, he spied the truth. It can only be said that Mo Luo Shikong is too unlucky. In order to survive, he willingly entered the Temple of Chishan. Followed the Temple of Chishan and left that time and space. Now, if I want to go out, but can't go out, that true spirit is not deceived by him at all. Always thinking of how to destroy him. He can only secretly plan to revive Fuego. Fuego was born much earlier than him, and he is also a top powerhouse among the masters of the universe. One person can kill the three true kings. But the strength after recovery is still not enough. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang appeared at this moment. Jian Wushuang has the power of all things in his body, that is the power that belongs to them alone, not only can restore Fuego's strength, but also can get Fomex out. The most important thing now is to win Jian Wushuang. After taking Jian Wushuang, everything can be successful. But ever since Jian Wushuang arrived in the heavens, he has been hiding in the palace of the elders, never coming out. They couldn't help it. There was a magic voice in the veteran palace, and there was a top teleportation formation, and the Lord Baiyi could also be there in the first time. Plus woos were it all suddenly, there were several super strong men, and Fuego couldn't bear it. Fuego's current combat power probably has the combat power of the 80th floor in the North Tower, which can suppress the demon god general and others, and can even kill. But it takes time. The true spirit descended before others were killed. At that time, Fuego will not be able to protect himself. The pressure of the true spirit is great, and the pressure of the gods is also great. In the Temple of Chishan, the Ultimate Emperor has already created the cosmic secret method, and the origin of space has also reached the cosmic realm. Maybe when he was promoted to the Lord of the Universe. Fuego and the Fomas hidden in the origin of all things are even more huge hidden dangers, which have always put a lot of pressure on the true spirit. Can't drag on. No one can afford it. The gritted his teeth, and he would endure for thousands of years. If Jian Wushuang still didn't come out, he would let Fuego go in, desperately to get Jian Wushuang out. Don't act rashly. Even if the true spirit finds you, it won't do anything to you. As long as Fuego returns to his peak, all problems can be solved. For Massa, he couldn't believe the other party's words. At the beginning, he came to Moro time and space. Turned out to be, after so many years of gestation, he didn't even have the ability to break the eggshell. Had it not been for the essence of all things, he would have been starved to death. Probably it is the biggest joke of their giant clan. Aborn is still dead. The giant gods are the gods in the starry sky. They were born as the masters of the universe, unmatched. The arrival of a giant egg represents the fall of time and space. How powerful. As a result, a series of 3 giant gods were planted in Mo Luo Shikong, which was simply a great shame. While the gods appeased Fomas, they informed Foy Ego to sneak into the heavens. This time he is going to play in the dark under the light. At the same time, they are also dispatching members of the shadow sect in the heavens. Chapter 55:14. Many strong men in the palace of the elders received news by coincidence. Many of them are the Sixth Order emperors, and there is also an absolute powerhouse. Many of them are the veterans of the Senate Palace. The supremely strong man is even more deeply hidden. Jian Wushuang, it's you again. The superbly hidden Zhu Jian revealed a magnificent appearance, and had already murdered Jian Wushuang. On the Maureen Mountain, Jian Wushuang walked out alone. Originally, he wanted to inform the real spirit, but the other party ignored him at all. He couldn't directly tell the Magic Sound General about this matter. I have to go quickly. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed. The other party must have noticed him. Touching the dome with the dome that gave birth to the gods, maybe the gods knew it, and it was probably a means arranged by the gods. He had to guard against it. Maybe Foy Ego is also involved. If so, he doesn't need to follow the original plan. 10,000 years. There are thousands of years of the world. Jian Wushuang prayed silently in his heart, hoping that there will be nothing wrong in these 10,000 years. This matter, as long as it is arranged by the gods, I am afraid it will attack the Senate Palace. The war is about to start. Without absolute certainty, the gods will never take risks. With the means of the gods, it is pervasive to any place. I am afraid that there are many powerful men who have been inserted into the palace of the elders now. Especially those emperors who later entered the Senate Palace. Among these people, there are definitely a lot of people from the shadow sect. Dark under the lights. Jian Wushuang left Maureen Mountain, not knowing where to go. Now Wu Zuo is still in the realm. He has contacted the other party, but he hasn't responded for a long time. Yuanyang Island, he didn't dare to go again. Funyang Island. He returned to his cave house and was fidgeting. Unstable mood. This feeling made Jian Wushuang very uncomfortable. Not long after sitting still, he left the cave directly. Fly towards the deep valley on the island. That valley can quickly heal the origin and divine body, and it can also calm the mood. It must be something special, probably related to the power of all things. He can just go to explore the truth. Maybe there will be unexpected receipts. Outside the valley, the emperor who stopped him last time saw that it was him, and he leaked a smile at the moment. Jian Wushuang ignored it, and directly handed out 100 million cubes of sacred stone. Now his name is spread all over the palace of the elders, and his status has risen with the tide. Who would dare to look down on him? The emperor who stopped him earlier did not even dare to pick up his divine stone. For this kind of person, Jian Wushuang is too lazy to care. But it won't give a good face. Why? Look down on the divine stone I gave. Jian Wushuang said with a cold face, angrily, let you hold it, or you won't save face. The emperor and elder were sincere and frightened, and directly took the divine stone into the bag, and then opened the formation. Humph. Jian Wushuang flicked his sleeve robe and stepped directly into the valley. In the valley, where is a huge stone monument standing, Yunwu Mountain. Jian Wushuang glanced, a sense of peace appeared in his heart. In that stone stele, he felt the strength of the long absence. Within it, there must be something special. A dead thing can contain mental strength. This is so strange. The dead thing actually contains mental strength. Jian Wushuang frowned, guessing from the bottom of his heart, could it be that there is life here too? How else would there be mental strength? Once he was bitten by a snake for 10 years, he was afraid of well ropes. Now he looks at something and feels something is hidden inside. Beneath the tombstone, there was a billowing heat. There are natural hot springs everywhere. Jian Wushuang slowly fell. Inside, there were men and women, or several people sitting together, or alone occupying a whole fountain. There are dozens of springs here, but because of the appearance of the North Watchtower, thousands of people here most of the time come here to restore the divine body and origin. There are so many springs, it is not so easy to want to dominate the next one alone. Not only needs a strong strength, but also a high status. In the palace of the elders, The highest status is naturally the veterans. Then there are the inheritors, and finally the emperors of the 4 secret realms. There are several emperors who occupy a spring eye alone, all of which are 6th-order emperors, and each occupy a high position in the Yuan Laro Palace. It's not the deputy hall master, or someone who controls important places. Strong strength and high status. Naturally no one dared to say anything. Jian Wushuang glanced at the muddy spring eyes. He really couldn't get off his feet. Especially those crowded springs, he was really embarrassed to go on. After wandering around for a long time, I didn't find any magic. He decided to enter a fountain and take a look. Especially the spring eye near the stele. The spring there is the largest, and it has a strong power of all things, which is very suitable for restoring the origin of the divine body. It's just that the spring eyes there are all standing by some powerful emperors with high authority. But Jian Wushuang now doesn't care about this anymore. It wasn't because he was too defying at the North Tower, so he floated, but after 10,000 years, he would run away with a high probability. It was an offense then, and it is also an offense now. It makes no difference. He still didn't believe it. The other party dared to do something here. At most, some verbal threats. But with his current fame, most people really dare not threaten him. Even the 3 major palace masters will give him a little face. Yep. After Jian Wushuang arrived here, many people looked over. The big brothers in the eyes of the core springs also looked over. Hall master, it is Jian Wushuang. I heard that Gong Miaoyi still has a leg with him. Sitting in the spring eye at the core is a 6th-order peak emperor, who is also a core member of the Senate Palace. Not only is he highly senior, he is also one of the 2 deputy directors of the Law Enforcement Hall. It can be regarded as a powerful champion under Wu Zuo's command. Don't talk nonsense about this, it's not good for anyone. The strong man sitting in the spring's eyes, bare chest, bare eyebrows, and red hair. Like a plague god. The charming woman next to her continued, Palace Master Zhong, this Jian Wushuang has a very good relationship with Lord Wu Zuo, shall we not try to win it over? Okay. Then reward you to him. Jian Wushuang's toes moved lightly and directly reached the core. The figure floating is not too high, standing directly on top of those big guys, is disrespectful. He also doesn't bother to care so much. If you don't look closely, where will he see the peculiarities of this place? The closer he gets, the stronger the feeling that the stone stele gives him. Instead, his mood was not steady, but shaken. He was already at the 5th level of his mental strength, and he was just a little short of his mental state being perfect, and he couldn't resist it. What is it? Jian Wushuang became more and more puzzled about this. It's a pity that he can't get in this stele. Repel with the power of rules. He can only step back again, stepping back on the grass, and hiding far away, but he can calm his mood. When he fell to the ground, a charming woman followed. Chapter 55-15. His Royal Highness Wushuang, the master of my house invites you to come and watch tea together, you may be interested. The charming woman's eyes stared straight at Jian Wushuang. Charm. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. Charm is useless here. Is even more useless for him. There is no concentration at this point, and it is a waste of life. Please. Seeing Jian Wushuang get up, the charming woman stretched out her hand to lead Jian Wushuang. He went this time, of course, not for tea. Can't contact Wu Zuo now, then ask the other person to see what Wu Zuo is doing. Following the charming woman, he reached the most central spring, where the water was calm, misty, and the power contained was very strong. Jian Wushuang really wanted to dig 3 feet in the ground to see what is hidden here and why it is so special. Now he is very curious about everything, like he wants to explore and understand. I don't know if it is good or bad. Hall Master Zhong. Jian Wushuang saw the opponent and was very polite. After all, he was asking for help. The other party's face is very terrifying, and the law enforcement hall in the North Territory can make so many people fear. I am afraid it has a great relationship with this plague god. Wu Zuo is the one who holds the order. I am afraid that this one is the law enforcement. The violent aura hits his face. The opponent's strength is only stronger than that of the hall master of Fu Shou Tang. Yanqing, give tea. Deputy Hall Master Zhong stared at Jian Wushuang, his expression unchanged. Jian Wushuang took the teacup and said, "Thank you." The charming woman named Yanqing had a smile in her eyes. "Jian Wushuang, you have such a reputation, and you are not arrogant or unreasonable. You are one of the top super inheritors in the Temple of Chishan today. You are more pleasing to the eye than Shong's eyes." Jian Wushuang did not expect that the other party looked fierce and vicious, and did not expect to praise him first. But compared with Shong, he is still a lot worse now. Started much slower than the opponent. He didn't dare to ask for a big deal. "If I let Shong know this, it would not be good," so he quickly said modestly, "The junior is just a Taoist monarch, how can you compare with the senior Shong? He is the strongest method right now, but it is the battle power of the Sixth Order Emperor. Shong is a super strong man who can break his wrist with Foi ego. You are not inferior to him. He is the ultimate emperor, but you are different. You are the ultimate Taoist educated by the Temple of Chishan. Once you succeed in harmony, you can quickly surpass him." Hall Master Zhong shook his head. Jian Wushuang's potential seemed to him, as long as he Dao succeeds, the worst can be mixed to the level of the gods. As for the Lord of the Universe, no one is sure. At the beginning, the 18 gods under the command of Chishan had changed many people in batches. Few of them could become the masters of the universe, and most of them fell when they impacted the masters of the universe. Even figures like Emperor Jueyun have not escaped the catastrophe against the sky. It's actually pretty good to be a god. The Lord of the Universe does not come out, basically it is invincible. Like a character like the Magic Sound General, the three masters of the Yuan Palace are not necessarily opponents. There is a huge gap in strength. Hall Master Zhong continued, "I have actually read your information a long time ago. Young people should not rush for a while. There is also the meaning of persuading Jian Wushuang to let go of the origin of everything." Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly, he is no longer interested in the origin of everything. Give him nothing. Hall Master Zhong, "I don't know where Master Wuzhua has been recently. I have something to discuss with him, but I can't get in touch with him recently." Jian Wushuang turned the topic off and asked about Wuzhua. Hall Master Zhong frowned slightly, he thought Jian Wushuang was asking Wuzhua for help, asking for the origin of everything, his expression changed a little. Brother Wuzhua has everything to do with everything. It is very likely that he has important matters, and I don't know where he is going. Is not deliberately concealing, sometimes Wuzhua does disappear for a while, and he does not know the removal of the other party. As for the method of contact, he does but will not help Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang nodded, and then chatted with the other party some things about this place, which benefited him a lot. This is really related to everything. Jian Wushuang turned his eyes to the stone monument. That is a boundary monument, the treasure of the universe. Also contains a universe origin. Is just the origin that no one knows clearly, it belongs to that path alone. Jian Wushuang didn't stay here too long before leaving the valley directly. 10,000 years. Jian Wushuang is like an ant on a hot pot. I want to walk and can't go, but I am afraid of staying. Simply let the deity go to Qiu Huang's central hall, and go to the cave mansion to retreat. Is waiting for Wuzhua's return, or when something happens, he can run away directly. Fortunately, nothing strange has happened in these years. The North Tower is the same as before, with people coming and going. Because of his feats, he also attracted many ultimate Taoists. Among these Tao monarchs, there are also many powerful ones. Among them is the ultimate Tao monarch, who has already reached the 8th level of the ultimate Tao. This is not the strongest Taoist monarch on Tomb God Mountain. In the North Tower, it directly broke through the 20th floor. Is already comparable to the 4th Order Peak Emperor. Is also considered a normal range, and there is still a big gap from Jian Wushuang. The 8th level of the ultimate way, although there is a big gap with the 9th level, it will not be so outrageous. Now many people are already suspecting that Jian Wushuang may have mastered some kind of secret treasure, which can make his strength skyrocket. Among the ultimate Taoist monarchs on the Tomb Mountain, there are also inheritors who have reached the 9th floor, but they don't have time to come to the North Tower of the Yuan Palace. That kind of character is just comparable to the fifth-order emperor. Is far from the sixth-order emperor. Many people are guessing. Ku Jian Wushuang didn't give the other party a chance to verify. He stayed in the secret room of the central hall, practicing alone. He has already told Qiu Huang that as long as Wu Zhuo comes back, he will be notified immediately. At this time, he did not dare to go to the boundary to find Wu Zhuo. Going out now, it is estimated that it is likely to be silenced. Jian Wushuang was ready to give up the plan he had dug down himself. Is simply a pit. Once the dome is a means arranged by the gods, I am afraid that he will abandon him and kill him directly. He didn't dare to gamble. Wait for Wu Zhuo to return, and then discuss with the other party. He really regrets it now. In a blink of an eye, thousands of years have passed, and everything is business as usual. Jian Wushuang was finally relieved. At this time, Wu Zhuo, who had disappeared from the boundary, also rushed back. As soon as the opponent teleported back, Jian Wushuang was already standing there waiting. Brother Wu Zhuo. Jian Wushuang hurried forward, really making him wait. I finally hope that the other party will come back. Wu Zhuo saw Jian Wushuang, a little surprised, and at the same time saw that Jian Wushuang had something to say in his heart. There are so many people here, it is not the time to discuss. Let's go back and talk. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. The two did not go to Yuanyang Island, but went directly to the small island where the law enforcement hall was located. Directly entered the core hall, and then the enchantment was laid down. Jian Wushuang was relieved. Chapter 55:16. Wu Zhuo was also a little shocked when he saw him. What's wrong with you? Wu Zhuo said, could it be that the other party took the initiative to contact you? Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and then replied, it's not that they contacted me actively, but that I discovered an amazing secret. His pupils contracted, and Wu Zhuo was also nervous when he looked at him. He set up the next 3 formations before daring to let Jian Wushuang continue. It is obviously not a trivial matter to make Jian Wushuang so nervous. Jian Wushuang dragged out all the things encountered in the Beiwang Tower, and finished directly in one breath. Wu Zhuo was shocked when he heard it, and stood up directly. Then paced in the hall. Are you sure you didn't tell anyone about this matter? Wu Zhuo asked with some uncertainty. Jian Wushuang touched the sweat on his forehead, a little collapsed and said, I didn't even say the magic sound general. Then it will be easy. You only went to find the magic sound general. Even if the other party has eyeliner in the Yuan Elder Palace, he should not be able to guess it. Now I am afraid that the other party already knows the secret you found there. The gods really found it. For thousands of years, not only the gods have been frightened, but even the giant egg in the origin of all things is scared to move. He originally dared to secretly absorb the power of all things to supply and demand himself. Now it is discovered by people, let alone absorb all things. The origin, he didn't even dare to go out of that secret realm. Jian Wushuang is afraid, the other is even more afraid. At this point, the bystanders' crows see more. He soon discovered something strange. You found the other party, and the other party must have found you too. If the is so capable, I'm afraid you haven't had time to tell Master Zhenling about the news, they will do it to you. Wu Zhuo continued, for such a long time without any movement, I am afraid that the other party is also betting. This matter must not be told to anyone. As for the dome, just ignore him. I will tell Master True Spirit later. This time you can be regarded as making contributions in advance. This credit is not only for the real spirit, but when the plan is carried out, the gods will also remember him. Those who have been to the court of the 3 kings are very familiar with the dome, and the gods must know this. Jian Wushuang has filled this matter down, and it is said that he will be sentenced at that time. If this matter is stabbed out, I am afraid that the plan will be difficult to proceed. By the time, at most one dome was captured, and for ego, the most threatening one, could not be found. This dome hasn't hatched completely here for so long. There must be some reason. Even if it hatches, it's a turtle in the urn. There is nothing to worry about. Jian Wushuang also nodded, he was also frightened at first, didn't think so much, Now it seems that this matter may not be a good start. Okay, let's not talk about this matter. Now we are going to create some illusions, such as the origin of everything. Wu's were leaked a yin smile. When Jian Wushuang and Wu's were came here, many people saw them, and they had to release some news. The illusion of Jian Wushuang being pushed out by the people in the Yuan Laro Palace was unwilling to give Jian Wushuang the origin of all things, and then Daolu was taken away by the Hall Master of Fushutang. In this way, Jian Wushuang is also known as a master. That's it. Jian Wushuang stood up and let out a sigh of relief. Now there is only one way left. He never thought that the plan proposed last time would rush him to sentence him to the Yuan Palace. Brother Wu's were, just to be on the safe side, I have released some more news recently. Jian Wushuang reminded him. No problem. By the way, I heard that Qingyo and Changfeng are both in retreat. They don't ask anything about the outside world. The other one went to the mine. Without these two stumbling blocks, you can escape more smoothly this time. Wu's were smiled. The matter of these two people has something to do with Jian Wushuang. They are hiding from him, so they made the best move. Now, God let me go forward as planned. Jian Wushuang and Wu's were explained a lot, and even set their own escape route. He is also ready to go all the way to the north. The teleportation array that goes to the realm is in the temple, where it is impossible to go. The forces in the north were the weakest after being washed by the Senate Palace. He just took advantage of the vacancy and fled towards the north. First took the teleportation array to Sholuo City, and then flew all the way to the far north. It's going well then, maybe I can go to the mine to find out where Nai Yuan is. After is certain, he can't stay here for a long time. Now he has to perform, otherwise it will attract suspicion from outsiders. Before leaving, Wu's were stopped him. Jian Wushuang, hold this thing, he said and handed out a brocade box. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised, but when he opened the box, he was stunned. This is? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. This is the other side flower. Wu's were nodded and said, this is a gift I gave you. You helped me a lot this time, and your performance in the North Tower exceeded the real spirit's expectations. The true spirit has it for you. Great compliment. This gift, but he went to the forest of 10,000 treasures, collected countless treasures, and then exchanged it with Zhu Yi. Don't underestimate this other side flower. The value of this other side flower has almost caught up to half of the treasure of the universe. Jian Wushuang was also shocked. At the beginning of the original star of Jiajiu, he had seen this flower from the other side. At the beginning, it was only to exchange the pollen on it, which was extremely expensive. The key is that they were exchanged as testers at the beginning. Even if there are more sacred stones after going to the 4 secret realms, there is no chance to even look at the other shore flower. Heigan flower. Jian Wushuang's eyes were a little excited. This time even if the origin of everything is gone, it is not too bad. In the origin of all things, those terrifying lives are stored. He was also scared to him. Let's talk about it after getting rid of the gods and Fuego in the future. It is estimated that by that time, he succeeded in harmony and became the emperor. After becoming the emperor, the demand for the origin of everything may not be as great as it is now. After leaving the main hall of the Law Enforcement Hall, Jian Wushuang soared into the sky and headed directly to the island where Fu Shotang is located. He really has to do something. Especially things related to people. I didn't care before, it was because I didn't have much reputation, how to shake a master of the Yuan Palace. But it's different now. He is famous, and the 3 palace masters avoided him. No one dared to offend him at this time. If I am offended, I will ask for the origin of everything to see who suffers the most. Although he didn't feel much about Gong Miaoyi, he brought the people over and pried away from him without making a sound. This is obviously very unruly. In the name of righteousness, he has to take his prestige once. Fu Shotang is located in the northwest corner of Yuanyang Island. Unlike other islands, this place is more like a continent. Chapter 5517 is just relatively mundane and big. Jian Wushuang glanced at it, but it was a dust. Boom. When he arrived at Fu Shou Tang, he flashed directly to explode a huge breath, and the shocking space was trembling. Tear. It was clearly a step away. Jian Wushuang had to tear the space above Fu Shou Tang and jumped out of it. Soon found movement below. A sixth-order emperor roared directly into the air. Who is so bold? Don't you know that this is Fu Shou Tang? The man has messy hair and 4 arms. The mighty air rushed to the face. After seeing the visitor clearly, he frowned, and his voice sank. Who shall I be? It turns out to be His Royal Highness Jian Wushuang. I don't know what's going on in my Fushou Hall. There are almost no strong men who don't know Jian Wushuang in the entire Yuan Laro Palace. Not to mention, the other party is still a sixth-order emperor, and also the deputy hall master of Fu Shou Tang. Although the other party was polite on the surface, he was somewhat unconvinced in his heart. It's just a Taoist monarch. The great Emperor Jueyun was probably in this situation. Although his strength is strong, he did not take that step after all. Nowadays, there are many people waiting to see his jokes. If the harmony fails, then you will lose your lord. Although it will not fall, but it will also fall into hidden dangers, and will not be able to rise again for a lifetime. Seeing the incoming person, Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, and said, "Send Gong Miaoyi out," so his master called him. This is also true, but it was the old man's palace where he brought Gong Miaoyi to. There is a rule in the palace of the elders: the strong can bring in several servants. Gong Miaoyi came in as a servant. Fu Shou Tang's vice-master's face sank directly. What kind of identity is Gong Miaoyi now? After a while, it will be their hallmaster's wife. Now Jian Wushuang is calling his servants directly, just hitting them in the face. Jian Wushuang, I know you are angry, but it's best not to mess around here, otherwise I will upset you all at once. Tianzang's deputy hall master was also hot-tempered. Is backed by the hall lord Tai San and the palace lord of Changfeng, who would dare to come here to go wild. Even if Jian Wushuang is against the sky, now he only has the strength of the sixth-order emperor. Really regard yourself as the master of the Temple of Chishan? Jian Wushuang's eyebrows suddenly rose with a trace of evil, and he shouted angrily, Tianzhou, are you scaring me? A powerful breath radiated from his body. It was a terrifying life force. As soon as this breath came out, Tenzhou felt something was wrong. Everyone has the power of life, but it is not as scary as Jian Wushuang. He felt that Jian Wushuang was not alone, but a large group of people stood in front of him. This is where the vitality is terrifying. As soon as the overwhelming aura came out, even the most powerful person could not compare to Jian Wushuang in aura and temperament. Pretend to be a master? Tianzang snorted coldly. Although he has a hot temper, he is not a fool. As long as Jian Wushuang doesn't do it, he will never take the lead. As long as Jian Wushuang dared to do something, he wouldn't care about Jian Wushuang. He would take the opportunity to beat Jian Wushuang, and then throw it out. Even if Wu Zuo comes to ask the crime, he is not afraid. The strength of Tianzang, among the sixth-order emperors in the Yuan Laro Palace, is not the peak, but it is also regarded as the top powerhouse. With Jian Wushuang's current strength, he was able to fight. It's impossible to win, and it's good not to be beaten by the opponent. But he also has whole cards. The powerful life force, combined with the life universe formed by the universe of one mind, is enough to suppress the opponent. Pretend. After Jian Wushuang had a plan, he was ready to shoot directly. At this time, he sneered and said, "Do you think I need to pretend?" The thick breath fills the entire space. The continent where Fu Shou Tang is located is shaking. Many people rose into the air and stood in the distance. It's almost done. If they are really a group of people against Jian Wushuang alone, not only will they lose face, I am afraid that the real spirit will find them to settle accounts. Because of bullying, it is not so bullying. A cold light suddenly broke out. Zhu Yunjian made a roar, and then suddenly exploded. Million tribulation. Jian Wushuang took the lead, cut it off with a single sword, and the eruption of power would make everyone and Tianzang stunned. This sword, he tried his best to integrate the power of mind, thought, swallowing, and all things. It is his strongest sword so far. One sword can open the sky, sink the sea, destroy and even give birth. In recent years, although my heart is uneasy, he has also created a lot of unique knowledge that suits him. Myriad Tribulations' sword is one of them. This is the pinnacle of his knowledge created by the power of life. The first sword of 1,000 tribulations. God. This sword contains the number of calamity, and it is because of his causal killing and calamity that he thought of this. As for the gods, it can be regarded as a metaphor. One sword slaughtered the gods and broke all the calamities in the world. Facing this sword, Tianzong didn't have much confidence. Although he has a high position, he is only cultivating at the pinnacle of unparalleled knowledge, and he is at the same level as Jian Wushuang. If you want to obtain the secrets of the universe, how can it be so simple? With 4 arms, he wanted to shake the sword when he started his hand. At this time, Tianzong's body turned golden, really like a god. Tianzong itself took the root of the divine body, which was relatively weak in origin, and spent a huge price to refine the 4 arms into the eternal treasure. The divine body also barely reached 59,000 times. But it is too difficult to make it 60,000 times. 60,000 times the divine body is of a supreme level. Don't look at the 1,000 times divine body, the treasures needed are probably the same as the possessions of a supreme powerhouse. Even if Tianzong is a deputy director in Fusho Tang and has been operating here for millions of years, he still hasn't collected enough treasures. The key is that after 59,999 times, it is even more difficult to break through the 60,000 times level. He is in the Senate Palace, Ukanshu. Com needs at least an epoch to be able to collect treasures. This is fast enough. If this is the past, there will be no 10,000 epochs, and there will be no enough treasures. Boom. The 4 arms struggled to resist the first sword of the myriad tribulation. Jian Wushuang, you dare to do it here, you must not regret it. Tianzong roared, and at the same time a powerful breath erupted from his body. That is the pinnacle of divine body flow. Although it is not an augmented divine body, it can always bless his divine body at its peak state. In this way, I am not afraid of being consumed by the source of power. The consumption of the divine body is a force faster than the original source. Give me, broke out again, and the first sword of the myriad tribulation broke directly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank suddenly, and then his figure disappeared in place. At the moment when the sword of 10,000 tribulations was broken, tens of thousands of fist shadows struck him. If he hadn't been hiding fast enough, he would have been seriously injured. The 6th Order Emperor of the Yuan Laro Palace is very different from the native Emperor of the 4 secret realms. If it is a top 6 tier Emperor from the outside world, he doesn't need to be so careful. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.